On Thursday, President Ramaphosa delivers his State of the Nation address, and as Business Unity South Africa says, an opportunity to set down policy objectives and provide more clarity on what the rest of the year is going to consist of. It's a tough job. The Democratic Alliance is more blunt. It says the president needs to choose state ahead of party. Regular political contributor to this program is Sanusha Naidu from the Institute for Global Dialogue. Sanusha, good afternoon to you. Now, we've seen a lot of the president recently in these so-called family meetings. He needs to go beyond the family meetings, though. How does he differentiate on Thursday?
Good afternoon, Jeremy, and to the viewers. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for him to balance because he's not talking about COVID. He's not talking about rollout strategy. He's not talking about lockdown measures. He's talking about the state of the country and where it needs to be going. So I think the challenge for him is to kind of stay away from the kind of broad strokes, if I could be that bold, to say that it can't be about we will plan to do that, we shall do that, or we'll roll out that. It has to be very, very concise language. It has to be very specific language, and it has to be about not what we can be doing or what we may be doing, but rather what we will be doing. And I think the key theme for this State of the Nation address cannot be, oh, we recognize the challenges and this is what we're putting into place. It has to be implementation. And that has been very, very weak in previous State of the Nation addresses, but one that is really warranted in this State of the Nation because we know what the problems are. We know what the Achilles heel of the country is. We know what the challenges are. But I think it's not about trying to say, oh, we're going to deal with it. It has to be a very, very specific set of deliverables. And this is where the balancing act in terms of not getting caught up with what the party resolutions are, but rather infecting and rolling out and implementing some of these important spaces that need to be implemented. I think we see this in the context of a few, 10% of the budget is caught in corruption. We see a major impact on the public sector, in the public sector wage bill. We know that the COVID relief funds haven't been spent wisely or implemented wisely. How much more funds do we have to give there? And there's talk about the fact that there's not enough money coming through SARS. The SARS speculation or the SARS calculations are that their shortfall is going to be immense. So I think at the end of the day, the question is to the president is, let's get away from the fluffiness, be very specific and be bold, as many other analysts and political parties have called about, and especially Cosatu has said. But I think you've got to be clear, and I think for me, don't set a long agenda of what you're going to achieve. Be specific on 3 or 4 or 5 key things that will turn around the state of the nation. And
Sanusha Naidu, we don't want any more of this aspirational stuff, do we? Things like bullet trains and smart cities.
No, I don't think we can afford bullet trains. I don't think we have the structural capability or capacity to implement smart cities. We know that what we are dealing with is a serious crisis of municipalities, serious crisis of cities, and we know that in the last several weeks or in the last 4 to 5 months, we've seen that municipalities have caved under the deliverables of being able to provide clean, clear water, sanitation. We see that with, if we take COVID out of this whole equation and we just look at what has been the disaster management in Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, people are not managing. The structures are just basically crumbling. So I think you can't be aspirational in this speech. Be honest. I think if he's honest in this speech and if he puts it on the table as honestly as possible, I'll appreciate it, and I think many other South Africans will appreciate the honesty of the State of the Nation.
Am I being too simplistic when I say the budget speech this year is far more important?
No, I think you basically hit the nail on the head, because there's nothing that the president can only put together a package and say this is what we're going to do and be clear on that. It's really up to the finance minister in finding the money in the budget. And where this money is going to come from, I think all eyes will be on whether the taxes will increase both for individual and corporate. We know that SAB has put out a kind of tip to the minister to say, don't increase excise duties. We can't afford it because we've actually been heavily hit by the COVID-19 lockdown measures. There's going to be a lot of those issues, and you can't keep squeezing personal income tax. So I think that at this point in time, it's going to be the budget. And the question would be, I would think a more easier way for the president to do this is to actually write this speech in conjunction with what would be the tangibles to draw in terms of parallels between the State of the Nation address and the budget scripted speech.
Sanusha Naidu is with the Institute for Global Dialogue.